if you remember this and you never forget, we would say you've accomplished and found your purpose and found it well. And then often when you found your purpose, you want all your friends, loved ones, and the rest of humanity in their cries of suffering to do the same. And many of you came back actually for that reason only. You too responded to the cries and the suffering of mankind and said, how can I be of assistance? How can I give up being the freedom of being an expanded being, roaming around the galaxies and exploring all kinds of amazing things? And how can I kind of squeeze myself into a little physical body so I can help mankind in their suffering? And hear their cries turn into laughter and joy. Harmonizing and singing unified. Is this helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great. Are there other questions?
I have a question. I've recently gotten really clear about a lot of things, and one thing that has not, I haven't manifested in full is being with a romantic partner. And I'm ready now. And I'm clear about what I need and what I want and what I bring to the table. So, my question is the current trajectory of the energy, is that on its way? And if there's anything that I can support within myself besides understanding, knowing I'm lovable, being divine, being all those things, and remembering in a consistent way to bring it about and realize it.
Well, if you mind us getting intimate with you for a moment, we feel the great sadness and even aloneness of being in the body, feeling the joys of the body and not having the pleasure of sharing that with another. And not your friends, of course, and family, but the other as being lover.
Yes.
So we do feel that tender heart and sadness. I think one of your questions was, is there something insight that we can have? Well, there's two things. One was the trajectory. Is that happening? Yes. The second was, is there anything else that we could do? And the sadness came from real experiences. And the real experiences that cause us sadness also cause a sense of distrust. And in that sense of distrust, a bit of a guardedness. So here's the heart that just wants to love and be expansive, and now there's a hand kind of guarding it. And now there's another hand guarding it like this. It's hard to bring in love when one takes that stance versus this stance. So the things that, and the reasons why you distrust, we're not saying that they were not valid. If someone comes over and stomps on your toe and stomps on your toe and stomps on your toe, it hurts. If someone comes and stomps on your heart and stomps on your heart and stomps on your heart, it hurts. Especially when they're that close to you. When you've entrusted them, when you've loved them, when you've sought love from them. Including parents and siblings and friends and previous lovers. What we're saying is, we're not saying blanket just trust anybody and here give them your precious heart to people who may not care for it in a way that is honoring of you. But what we can say is that you hold your heart in a place that you're honoring it. So now it's not protected, it's honoring it, it's holding it. And then with your wisdom, your discernment, from the experiences you've had from your heart being stomped on, so to say, you can say, well, that's too familiar of a situation, so we're not going to just allow that person to dishonor. So you're now in the driver's seat of who honors and dishonors you. Those who dishonor, go. Those who honor, let's enjoy. Or those who dishonor, I will honor myself in your presence. You can look at Jesus, and at one time he was glorified, and they, waving, palm leaves and had him on a donkey as the king of Israel. And the next moment they had him pinned up with a crown, and great suffering. Mankind can turn like that. Parents can turn like that. Lovers, friends can turn like that. We understand. It's part of that dualistic confusion. But you can always be your best ally. And you can use your continued wisdom and discernment of seeing, is the person that I'm choosing to share this experience with, are they acting out of a place of honor to me fully? And if they're not, I will at least honor myself fully. So I can always have my love affair constantly going on, constantly. And when I'm in such a love affair with my own self, guess what? It's attractive to many beings having that same experience. And so that beloved one that is in the same vibrational frequency of that will then come, and you will be this. But what often happens is that we're in this wound and this confusion and this hurt, and we project that out, and we bring someone in, and for a moment there's like a love and bliss, and then we go back into the confusion, the union of the suffering. So the more you heal that which is not love, the more you'll be able to manifest that. And when you manifest that, you will manifest it in a mirrored sense. To give you a few details about the being that comes, he's a very tall being. He's a joyous being. He adores you like no other, as you are, fully. It is his greatest joy and honor to be with you. It is not someone you know now, but it is someone they're saying you'll know probably within 6 weeks. And they don't give timelines very often, but they're giving a timeline now. Because you really are calling in that which you want. And you are a very powerful being. And at this stage, we just say, give yourself permission to experience the greatest joy in your life as you are. Because if you want that being to be the person who adores, loves, accepts, cherishes you, honors you as you are at this moment, you be that first. And then that match will come. Is that helpful?
Sure.
6 weeks.
You waited this long. What's 6 weeks?
And just know that, and we're not saying that you're a chaser, but just know that chasing is not honoring. So you're a queen, and a very powerful queen. How do powerful queens rule their lives? They sit dignified on their throne in their full glory, their full expression, and they say, oh, kind sir, would you bring me this? Would you bring me that? They call it to themselves. They don't go running and say, okay, I need some tea and I need some this. They just call it all in. And they don't do it, I mean, we're not talking about the queens of Elizabeth and that we're talking about the confused kind of, patriarchal, matriarchal thing. We're just talking about the queen energy of like the dignified, elegant being who's got a regalness and a royalness that when you walk in the door, your energy is felt 10 feet out in front of you before you even made it through the door. People are like looking over the door because they know something's coming. And then all of a sudden you appear in your radiant regalness and beingness. And they're like, who is this amazing being? How can I go enjoy her magnificence and share my magnificence with her? You are very close. You worked very hard. And you are a clear being. And you were one of these beings that said, if there's ever a time I'm going to be on the planet, it's going to be now. Because we have been waiting for this shift and this change for lifetimes of suffering, to see a lifetime of no suffering. And a continuation of lifetimes of no suffering. Is that true? Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question. I think. I have been writing this story of an experience that happened in my life, and I've come to just sort of wanting to take a break from it and reevaluating just really what my point of view about it is. And I'm really clear that it's about joy, even though it can look like a tragic story, and I'm really clear that it's not. I'm really clear that it's a story of transformation. And in fact, it might be a story into just the next dimension, which is kind of exciting to me. I don't know if everyone else would hear it that way. And
You're not writing it for anyone else to hear it that way. You're writing it for those who already hear it that way and want to read it in a book.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, and then part of me may even just want to say, I don't even write that story anymore, I just want to get on with the joy. You know, I mean, I'm just at this place, I'm really clear that my life is about joy, and I also want to be of service. And I guess my question is my greatest service through the story? Or could it be through, and I know it could be through a number of different ways, and yet I keep coming back to this story because, well, it was a transformative story for me in my life. And so I guess, what's my question? Is it time just to let the story go? Does the story still want to come through me for the greatest service? It just may want
We'll say, let go of the story around the story.
Okay. Yay, that sounds good. I'll do that.
But with that said, your story has significance in how you personally transform from a person who wasn't quite sure about life to a person who's like really full of life. In fact, I'm even getting fuller. And because that transformation is what people are going for, there's people, it's like, they're going to do it their individual way. We say if there's 7 billion people on the planet, there are 7 billion different ways to wake up. But it doesn't mean that your story won't assist others in their awakening. And it's kind of like you've already got your blueprint figured out. You've already got yourself to the high mountain, and now you're transformed to be an eagle, then a phoenix, and then you're just soaring, even though you're still in a physical body. And there's others, and now you're flying down, and you see people who are just like going, one more step. I think I see the top of the mountain. Oh my, I'm on the top of the mountain. It's actually was just the hill I got to. There's another mountain. So there are people that are just going, oh my God, I'm in quicksand. How the fuck do I get out of here? So you being the transcendent angel being, Phoenix, whatever you want to call the transcendent being, comes down and says, well, guess what? There's an easier way to get to the top of the mountain. Jump on some of my back and we'll just fly. Or I will show you the path that I took. There's ways that I learn that actually you don't have to learn. You can actually take some shortcuts. I went round and round and round and round and round and round this tree for about 50 million years. And I realized, oh, that tree had nothing to do with my getting to the top of the mountain. So if you see someone going around and round around the tree, you're just like, oh, well, that's just a tree. There's actually a forest ahead. So yes, the wisdom, the information, the clarity that you've garnered from your life will be of benefit to others. if you want to put it in a story, if you want to share it in a story with a friend, however you want to share that, share it. And it can manifest in a book, a story, yes, yes, yes.